My name is Colin Lord, and I work with Solomon Admissions Consulting, and I've worked in the enrollment management field for nearly 3 decades at various levels. Today, I'm here to talk to you about how to decide which schools to apply to. This can feel like a pretty overwhelming task given the fact that you have nearly 400 options to choose from. But I always start by telling families rather than looking out at schools, let's start by doing some introspection. What I mean by that is I sit down with the student and we have a conversation about the education experiences that they've enjoyed. Um, you know, something like classes with class discussion, smaller classes, um, uh, different subjects that they had an affinity to. All of those things we jot down. And then after we've done that, we turn our attention to potential deal breakers. In other words, uh, are there any things that will automatically stop you in your tracks from applying to a school? And usually that has something to do with programming. So, for example, if a student has committed 8 years of their life to swimming, chances are they want to attend a school where they can continue that thing that they're passionate about. So, after we've done the introspection and we've made our lists, then we can take a look at schools that might fit that criteria. And thankfully, there are lots of search engines and websites that can provide you support in this area. In terms of where you find your information, school websites are obviously a good place to start because that's the most updated information. But if you haven't gotten that far to identifying potential schools to apply to, then I recommend that you consider visiting the National Association of Independent Schools, NAIS.org website. You could also try the Association of Boarding Schools, tabs.org, or the Enrollment Management Association at admission.org. All three of these organizations have boarding schools as members, so the member schools submit reports on an annual basis. The information is updated. And if you go to any of these websites, you'll be able to use their search engines to filter out what you are looking for and develop a list of schools to consider. I know a lot of families will reference different rankings about schools, and that is definitely one way to kind of pare down the different options. I will say, however, that rankings should not be the one and only way that you decide what schools to apply to, because while rankings are helpful, ultimately this process should be about trying to find a good fit for your student. If you find a good fit for your student, not only will they achieve their potential, but they'll probably exceed it. But it has to be a good fit. Um, in terms of fit, what are some of the things you should consider? What are some of the factors you should consider? Now, this will vary from one person to another based on your personal preferences and so on and so forth. But this is just a sample of some of the things that you can consider when you're looking at boarding schools. First is student body or size of student body. The average boarding school is about 400 students, but ultimately there are boarding schools that are smaller than 200 students, and it goes all the way up to 1,200. And so, as you can see, that's a vast range in terms of student body size, and you have to start thinking about what type of community experience do you want to have. Smaller schools tend to be more family oriented, family feeling. Um, and that's a generalization, but it tends to hold true. Um, and larger schools have lots of options, but there's usually a lot more competition for different extracurricular activities and so on. But again, it's something for you to consider. The region and location of the school might also be something for you to consider. Do you want to be in a rural area, a suburban area? Do you prefer the East Coast or the West Coast? And where you live might influence that decision. Academic advising and academic support in general might be something that you want to consider. Dress code is another one. Again, boarding schools have a range in terms of dress code. Some schools require formal attire during the day, whereas others have no dress code and you can pretty much wear whatever you want during the academic day. Obviously, extracurricular activities are important, and that importance increases based on how committed you are to those extracurricular activities. And so, if you are someone that has done an activity for a long time, I assume that you want to continue doing that. So, you want to make sure that the schools that you're applying to have the type of programs to support your continued progress in those activities. Some other things that might be a consideration is diversity, whether or not the school has a religious affiliation, gender may also be another one. Same-sex schools definitely are popular for some students. There are advantages to going to a same-sex school. And then you want to consider whether or not the school has any signature programs. The signature programs are academic programs, special academic programs that schools have developed to challenge students who want a bit more than what's offered in the regular curriculum. So, for example, if you are someone that's passionate about science, a school that has a science research program of some kind might be something that you want to consider. I hope that this has been helpful to you. I do want to end by saying that you should trust the process. Um, these admissions officers at these schools have spent a lot of time and they have a lot of experience identifying students who are good fits for their school. So you definitely want to trust the process regardless of the outcome. I also tell my students all the time that you make the school doesn't make you. In other words, whatever you decide is the best school, if you enroll at that school and you don't engage and you don't get involved and you don't stretch yourself, then the outcome is not going to be desirable. Well, thank you for your time. I hope this was helpful.